All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Slowly but surely, the message is getting out there. It will get out further, I assure you, at some point. That coming for Shabbat Zimra, our musical Shabbat, is worth it. Is worth every moment. That the vibe and the energy that we can create in here is something that's really meaningful and really special and beautiful. And so I'm so glad you're all here. And welcome to the many who are watching on stream, of which I get messages. Now, granted, I don't know exactly how long they're on the stream for. So it could just be that you're turning it on and then turning it off. And if so, well, quickly, let me just get it in. Welcome. Okay, now you guys can go. No, we know many people are watching, and we're delighted to have you here too. But what a great opportunity it is to let the music of our service kind of sing to our souls to some degree. Some of the songs that we'll be singing here this evening on our musical Shabbat they're a little bit new to you, but all of them are catchy. Now, I do want to say one thing, that if you're wondering if you should sing along or if you should just listen. Well, of course you're welcome to just listen if that's what you want. However, I could not more emphatically and strongly urge you to sing along. That we really, really, really want you to sing along. The intention of this is to get the musical spirit and vibe going in the sanctuary, something which is really meaningful. So our service begins with the singing of Lechu Neranena. It can be found on page 130 in your Siddur. Adonai Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Letzor Yishenu, Lechu Neranena, Adonai Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Letzor Yishenu, Nikad Mafana, Betoda, Bizmirot, Naria Lo, Nikad Mafana, Betoda, Lechu Neranena, L'Adonai Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Letzor Yishenu, Lechu Neranena, L'Adonai Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Letzor Yishenu, Nikad Mafana, Betoda, Bizmirot, Naria Lo, Nikad Mafana, Toda Bizmirot Narialo. I know that's kind of a new one, so we didn't have such high expectations for you to be singing along with us, but that's the point. You could have, at some point, jumped in with us because it's got that type of spirit. So we are now on page 100, we're back a few pages, 120, as we continue with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. So again, page 120. Go on. Try again. Yeah. There we go. להדליק נר, נר של Shabbat. Our symbol of joy, which is wine. Also, we say not just a blessing for wine, but also a blessing for the day, which is the Shabbat day. All is part of it. Please join me. This is on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzot hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziyat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. Now, before we continue, I do want to say that I might be somewhat of a familiar face. I've only been here for like 20 years at this synagogue now. But to my left, these three are still relatively new faces to you. Hopefully they won't be new faces for very long, but they might be. This is Tom Weeder, his daughter Jess, and this is Chris Cavey, his son-in-law, her husband. And you can only imagine what Thanksgiving dinner is like in your house with these instruments. Nonetheless, we are so fortunate to have them here. It was Tom who spoke the words which went straight to my soul when he said, oh yeah, we ought to do something, with instruments. And I was like, oh my God, I've been trying to pull this off for years here, and I never can do it. And now we've got someone who is willing to kind of be the backbone of this. So lucky. We are so fortunate. Our service continues now with Zamru, and it can be found on page 134 in your Siddur. Zamru l'Adonai bechinu, bechinu v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechinu. Zamru l'Adonai bechino, bechino, v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechino. Zamru Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, vekozim rav. So that's one we do a lot here. So you can sing along with us. Here's one you may not have heard in a while, but we have done before. This is Lecha Dodi, Craig Taubman, page 138. Now let me just remind you about the verses that we do. We're going to do verse 1, 2, 5, and 9. 1, 2, 5, and 9. So I hope that you join with us. Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi. What's that?
That would help.
I can do it in any key. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem lo tiferet v'letila, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mikor habracha, mirosh mikedem nisucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Verse 5. Hibdoreri, Kiva orech umi ori, uri, shir dabari, Kavod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Please rise, face the entrance to the sanctuary. We'll greet the Sabbath bride. Boi lebeshalom ateret ba'ala, gam besimcha uvetzohola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Chadodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nehekabela. Please be seated. Just want you to know, if you're wondering, like, what was the old game shows that they would have? Pick the amateur on the bima. That would be me each time. Okay, so whenever there's a mistake, just look to me and see if I'm getting red. And that means it was probably me. So one of a song that we have always kind of experienced and as something which is like a closing hymn of a service, a Shabbat service, is Shalom Aleichem, but in truth it finds itself in more traditional settings towards the beginning of a service. And so we're on page 142 as we continue with Shalom Aleichem. This is a version, by the way, if my memory serves me correctly, it was Arik Luck who first introduced this version to us. This was a cantor of ours, a student cantor of ours. I remember singing this in the trailers. So we're talking 18 years ago. I remember singing this with now cantor Arik Luck. Back then, student cantor Arik Luck. It's a great version of Shalom Aleichem, and I hope you kind of remember it so you can sing along with us. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yalala Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sing with us. Tzidchem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's fun. I love this. Page 146, this is the Baruch Hu. Would everyone please rise? Am I awake? Oh wait, sorry, again, that's my mistake.
I prepare. Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la.
Yalla la la la, 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 yalla la la. 150, bottom of the page, everlasting love. You offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai our God, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema, page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem
Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem
Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. On page 154 is V'ahavta, but before we start, I just want to say, if any of you remember playing an instrument when you're growing up, and you thought to yourself, God's shame, but that's part of ancient history for me. I will never play that instrument again because I don't have the people in the garage to play with. I'm too old to be going to that corner bar at 2 o'clock in the morning. Whatever the excuse may be, but you've got a little bit of that music left in you, and you want to, consider, we would love to have you up here. So maybe be in touch with me or with Tom and give a sense of how you can participate, because we would love to include more instruments here. So, V'ahavta, page 154. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. יאללה 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 והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום בלבבך. יאללה 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 בביתך
נתן להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, והוטבתם על מזוזות ביתך, על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך.
We are on page 159. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Previous page, 158.
Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you? Adonai, ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות מלך. כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה לה לה
prayer for giving us a good night's sleep and waking up the next morning refreshed and rejuvenated. I love this one. I feel it. I need it in my kishkas. I like the one that says, go to sleep well. Get a full night's sleep, no wake-ups. No wake-ups. 6 hours, all I'm asking. Not much. I'm not asking a lot. 6 uninterrupted hours. It'd be amazing.
That would be nice.
Amazing. Hashkivenu, page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ushmor tzedekenu לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו I love that song. Page 162, one of the two songs unique for Shabbat. This one at the bottom of the page is called Yismechu. Please join along with this great Ashkenazic tradition. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mikadashei Shvi Shabbat Kulam Yisbe'u V'yitangu Mituvecha Shabbat Yismechu V'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu V'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh v'reshit Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh v'reshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Love it. We're on page 164 as we begin the tefillah section of our service. It's going to start on 164 with Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, then it's going to go to 166, 168, and 170. I will do my best to tell you what page we're on as it's happening, but I would like to ask everyone to please rise. 164. I messed it up again. Ugh, so bad at this. Adonai. Ananana Sfatai Tiftach. Ananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana Sfatai Tiftach. Ananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana Sfatai Tiftach. Ananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana Sfatai Tiftach. Ananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. 166. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor VaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah, 168, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memid, Umechayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atala Chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, 170, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kdoshim B'chol Yom Yalalu Chasela, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. All right, we're on page, let's see here. How about 177? Bottom of the page, 177. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ucha Na'eh Lehodot. And our evening prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, page 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. All right, my favorite part of the service is when we take a few moments to share a little bit with each other and what's been going on in our lives, the things that have brought us joy and the things that have brought us struggle. We always start with the joy, then we go to the struggle. It's an opportunity for us to just kind of be more of a community as opposed to separate individuals and people. And this is where I get to show off, kind of teach Tom a little bit about how to play the guitar. Right, someone's got to do it. But let's, tell me if you've experienced joy recently and you would like to share your joy, then we want to hear it. And hopefully that microphone is picking up your voices a little bit better. And if not, I'll just repeat it anyway from time to time, we'll see. But joy, tell me, Mary. Yes.
My brother Stephen is here with us this evening.
Brother Stephen is here with us this evening. That's joy for you and joy for me. I forgot to mention that from time to time I'm going to strum a little Can Ye He. You get to sing Can Ye He with me as a way. Can Ye He simply means may it be. Can Ye He. Can Ye He. Can Ye He. Can Ye He. Anybody else have some joy out there? Don't be shy. Lord, oh, God.
This past Monday, very proud to be part of a workshop sponsored by the Independent Living Network of Maryland called Raising Our Voices. This was teaching Advocacy 101 to people who want to go and advocate for issues that impact people with disabilities in the state of Maryland.
And you were part of a, what, panel for this?
I was part of this presentation, part of the
Part
workshop.
of the presentation.
And
Awesome.
very, very excited.
That's fantastic, Lori. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was tickled to find out that my sixth grade ran away with the tzedakah contest.
All right, so there's a tzedakah contest in the religious school. Biggest, the grade that collects the most tzedakah gets to have breakfast.
We had the
Grab.
grand prize. Grand prize. They had the grand prize of having breakfast
With me.
with you.
And they get to pick the breakfast, whether it's bagels or donuts. What?
You cooked breakfast.
No, I don't cook the breakfast. I show up for breakfast. And then discuss with them the finer intricacies of tzedakah. And then all grown. And then we'll just eat more donuts and then happy. But for your sixth grade class, Hal,
Yeah.
who else has got joy? Yes.
My two joys that are right here, Ben and Alex, and today is Ben's 6th birthday. And we haven't been here in a really long time, so we haven't been here together in a really long time. So my other joy is that we made it here together, and they're behaving themselves like services.
Wow. A lot of joy having been with you, and especially because it's somebody's birthday.
My wife said I couldn't do this.
And let's see what her facial expression is as you're doing it.
The big joy is my Giants are in the playoffs this year.
Giants are in the playoffs. You have not said that joy in a very long time. You don't need to tell me, I know what you're about to say. We know who's got the bug this week. I know. More joy that's not Eagles, much less Giants. Yes, Steve.
After a many-year search, my son and I found out tonight that we're going to rent a new home, and we're going to create a new environment for my grandchildren and his children. We're very, very fortunate and pleased.
same. It turns out that even though it was the same trip, she said like they barely saw each other the entire time. But
They were just two different groups. They weren't alien. Group
that's
A,
right.
group
So Brian and Navad just returned.
And Noah.
Noah, I think, came back yesterday.
and
But he
Jacob.
went straight to college in Boston. But Brian and Navad came back here. Noah had come back 2 days ago. Brian and Navad came back today.
And Jacob Rosenblum came back last week.
Came back last week. A lot of kids from our synagogue experiencing Israel in a meaningful way. And I should tell you, my own daughter, Navad, came back today. Another one of my daughters went earlier this week. On Monday, she went for like 4 months, 5 months. You know how long? 5 months till the end of May. So we've got a lot of Israel representation from Beth Shalom right now for sure.
I have a 3-day break at school.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're saying that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, is that right?
Yes.
Do you have any big plans?
I don't know.
Like, maybe traveling, Alaska, Canada?
I think I'm going across the world in 80 days.
You're going across the world in 8 days.
I'm good at it.
All in a book.
Yeah, no.
In a book?
Sure, let's sit.
I like what you're doing here. You've got me more confused than I've got you right now. And I tell you, I do know what you mean by that 3-day weekend. Love it. Love it. Anybody else want to say something? Yes.
I cleaned my room recently.
Clean your room, is that what I just heard? You know what's funny about that is that's impressive. Because I know others who cannot say that they've cleaned their room recently. So I'm sure that brings your parents about more joy than it brings you, right? Yeah, I'm sure. Anybody else? Yeah. What you got?
New books.
New books? You got new books?
Yes.
See, that's a great joy.
Yes.
And I feel the same way when and I'm not joking, when I get some new books, especially ones that I'm enthusiastic about reading, that is about as much of a joy as there is. You want to tell me any of the books that you got that you're looking forward to?
I see Lincoln's
I see Lincoln's
underpants.
underpants. Can I see? You got it with me? I want to see that book. Later.
Not yet.
Why? Oh, you don't want me to take it?
No,
You're afraid that I'm going to take it and not give it to you to read?
I don't know where it is.
And just one more question about I see Lincoln's.
Stick.
I just have a question about I see Lincoln's underpants. Is it? Are we talking about Abraham Lincoln's underpants?
Yeah, it includes 16 stories about famous people's underwear.
Famous people's underwear. Does it like describe the type of underwear they wear?
More like embarrassing stories that
More embarrassing stories that
happened.
happened to them when they were wearing their underwear.
Yes.
Gotcha. Just their underwear, or
Yes.
mixed? They're wearing clothes and they've got underwear on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe this. I gotta get my hands on that book. But I'm not going to say no. Okay. I can see Lincoln's underpants, that's what it's called?
No,
I see Lincoln's underpants. Amazon is worth it. It's going to be worth its weight in gold for me. Anybody else have any questions? can't wait to read that. I'm going on. Anybody else have joy before we continue? You guys got any joy back there? You got joy? Good.
Hearing the congregation sing and having the voices of the shira here just make me smile. Thank you so much.
Me too. Me too. You got another one?
I beat my sister and just dance on the Wii.
That's hard to do because the Wii is unforgiving. We have one of those. Unforgiving. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Congratulations on you and your sister. Anybody else have joy? We praise you, Adonai, our God, for partnering with us in the many joys that are in our lives. Along with the joy, of course, is the recognition that loved ones are struggling and need healing, and we have a blessing for them as well, or for you as well. And that blessing is called Misha Berach, and the way that we do this blessing is that I'll share the beginning of the blessing, and then halfway through I will pause and give you a chance to say a name of a loved one who is in need of healing. And you can say that name in Hebrew or English. And then we'll go around the room and share names, and when we're finished, then we'll sing. Well, I'll finish the blessing and then we'll sing. So the blessing begins this way: Misha Berach, Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. These words mean, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Hu Yivarech, V'yirochet, Kolach, B'lim, Shalom, and may God bless and heal all of our loved ones who are in need of healing, especially the ones whom we name at this time. And so I'll kind of look around, and if you'd like to share the name of a loved one in need of healing, please feel free to do so.
Dennis Nolte,
David Ellie, Meir Matsura. Laura McDaniel.
Larry Twain.
Will Zelk, Corey Stein, Jan Stein.
Paul Katzman.
Bruce Skidder,
Donna Aaron, Paul Roskis.
Rita Kelly, Marla Spring, Frank Lugavera, Marianne Fry, Morris Bell,
Reggie Thornton.
Thanks. I'd just like to add a few names: Eric Harris, Mark Koppelman, and Rich Harrison. Vishlach lehem bimheira refuah shalema. May God send them speedily a complete recovery. Refuah tanefesh, refuah taguf, the healing of body and healing of spirit. K'tok sha'ar kolei Yisrael, amongst all who are in need of healing. V'namar, amen. Amen. So we're on page 371. This is Misha Berach, and I hope that you feel comfortable joining us.
Bless those in need of healing
with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We pause for a moment of silence. Say shalom bimroma, huya say shalom aleinu. Say shalom bimroma, huya say shalom aleinu.
Shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'ako Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'ako Yisrael. 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 So I'm going to tell you probably a story you've never heard before, except for the real biblical scholars in this room. And that is, it comes from this book called Judges, which is right after Joshua, right before Samuel, and it's a story of Jephthah. And Jephthah's a judge, he's a kind of like a general. The judge was more than just the person who just decided things. Back then, he was kind of like the leader of our people, and he was also a military leader. And we were fighting various different battles, and he was, suspicious of various different peoples. And as a way of distinguishing between those who were on his side, from Ephraim, the Ephraimites, and those from the other side of the Jordan River, from Gilead, the Gileadites, there was a way that he could tell who was from Ephraim and who was from Gilead. And there was a word that he would make people say. And if they could say the word correctly, it meant, or if they could say the word like he says the word, then he knew that, that they were with him, and if they couldn't say it the same way. So that word was the Hebrew word for torrent, like a torrent. And the word in Hebrew is shibboleth. Shibboleth. And if they could say it, they would say shibboleth, but if they couldn't, they would say sibboleth. And he knew that they were an enemy when they said Siboleth. And this gave rise to the English word, which is shibboleth. And probably 2/3 of you are saying, kind of heard of that word before, but I've no idea what that word means. So a shibboleth is like a secret code word, a password, something that gives you, something that distinguishes you from outsiders. Now, you want a perfect example of a shibboleth? Here it is. In New Orleans, where I grew up, there's like a shibboleth, and it goes like this. I'll show it to you. Now, some of you will look at this and you'll say, what on earth is he showing me? And others will look at this and will say, oh yeah, I know what that is. So, if you know what this is, you're with me. If you don't, you're against. No, I'm joking. This word. This word. Anybody know how to say it? Tchoupitoulas. Right, so if you know Tchoupitoulas, then you're from New Orleans. If you don't know Tchoupitoulas, then you're an outsider. This is how we can tell who grew up in New Orleans or not. Tchoupitoulas, the wild Tchoupitoulas. Now, why do I tell you it? In a great example of a shibboleth. It tells you who's from New Orleans, who's not from New Orleans, right? Easy, fun. Other examples, you know, they talk about how, fraternities. You know, the fraternity handshake. You know, this and the slaps and all this, and if you can do it, you're from that fraternity. It's the secret password. It's your little shibboleth. There are numerous examples, and it all comes from that story in the book of Judges. Now, here's the thing. So this week, in this week's Torah portion called Shemot. So this week, you know, is the beginning of the book of Exodus. And Exodus, as you probably can imagine, is right after Joseph, the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph. And then we get to Exodus, which is the story of Moses. We're in Egypt, we're slaves. Moses, you know, God speaks to Moses and let my people go. Right, so Moses speaks to God at the burning bush. And God says to Moses, hey, you know what, go tell those people that we're going to free them, liberate them from bondage. And I can only imagine what it must have been like for these Israelites as they heard that they were going to be freed. They're probably like, yeah, right. I've heard this before over the last 210 years. And we were told we were going to be freed and liberated from bondage, and what do you know? You're saying it to us now as if we're supposed to believe it now. But as it turns out, there was a shibboleth. As it turns out, God spoke to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph, and said these very words. He said, Pakod yifkad, I surely see, take note of your anguish. Those very words. And Jacob's son, Asher, had a daughter named Sarah. This is, therefore, Jacob's granddaughter, Joseph's niece. And she, Sarah, is known to be the one person who linked the early generation with Jacob and Joseph, and the new generation with Moses. And so when Moses came back to Egypt and told them that he was planning on liberating them, they brought him before Sarah, the daughter of Asher, the granddaughter of Jacob. And they said, this man comes saying he's going to liberate us. And she said, how do I know? And Moses says the same words, Pakad yifkod. And Sarah then says, this man tells the truth. It's going to happen. Because Moses gave her the code word, the shibboleth. And as I think about that story, which I love, I wonder to myself, what, like I've got my New Orleans shibboleth here, my Chapatulis, but I wonder, what our Jewish shibboleths are these days. What are those, that uniquely kind of define us? And I know, by the way, that this is harder for people who are Jews by choice. They come to Judaism over time and don't have a lifetime of shibboleths that they've been listening to. But still, what's that thing, that code word that says, yeah? Is it saying some sort of sage from the Talmud, saying Yochanan or Gamliel, and that's going to kind of give you away? Is it is it talking about the brisket recipe that you remember growing up with? Is it oy vey? Is it saying oy vey? What's the shibboleth? What's it for you? It's different for every person. What's the shibboleth? And re-embrace it. And maybe use it a couple more times and see if you can pick out other people who care about those very words too. So we'll go back to no more talking. Let's go back to singing. Our service continues on page 586. This is Aleinu. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tei gdula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated. Thank you. So at this time, we bring to mind loved ones who have been called to their eternal rest. Loved ones from our congregation. One has passed away quite recently, and others have yahrzeits that fall on the Shabbat. And so first, allow me just to mention the recent passing of Albert Lapache, stepfather of Susan Turnock, and we recall him and his memory lovingly. We also remember these loved ones whose yahrzeits occur on the Shabbat. That means it's the anniversary of their passing. We remember at this time Rebecca Becker, Mary Stroll, Robert Heimberg, Frida Kugelmass, Virginia Mathis, Joel Rinsky. We remember Deborah Libby Dickstein and Samuel Kahn, Esther Katzman, Elizabeth Butelli Roth, Sarah Bernstein, George Kenneth Brown, Nathaniel Gerson, Lawson Stewart, Morris Abraham, Sheldon Meisenberg, Dorothy Wish, Joshua Nicholas Butsky, Florence Halpern, Nina Renard Meissner, William Romer, Henry Altschuler, and Morris Harold Goodman. And so in gratitude for their lives and linking their names with the rest of our loved ones, we remember them now with the words of our mourner's prayer called the Kaddish. It can be found on page 598. And I'd like to invite those of whose custom it is to stand for this to please rise.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechal beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'visman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach, le'alam ulamei amaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu, Le'elamin kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, v'yasei shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to every bereaved heart. Amen. Please be seated. Thank you. All right. Our service is rapidly coming to a conclusion. And it's a sadness for me because I could do this all night. Just need like a cigar and a glass of scotch or something. No, darkened room, piano. No. Do this all night. And I can't wait till the next one. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but please, we'll be advertising it next time. Come. Tell your friends. It's really a lot of fun to be part of this. And now you can see that it really can just be exceptional. And next time you get a slightly more professional student cantor, Gabe Snyder, here, and not the serviceable Rabbi Ari Goldstein. But thank you, Tom and Jess and Chris. Can't tell you how grateful Nora, of course, you too. Can't tell you how grateful I am for participating here with us. So let me tell you a few other announcements. Rumor has it, I'm not going to tell you where I heard this from, but rumor has it it's a 3-day weekend. So what am I saying that for? Because the office is going to be closed on Monday. We celebrate or observe this 3-day weekend just like you do. So no tour study on Monday. And also, for that matter, there is no class on my Pirkei Avot class on Tuesday because it's also a board meeting. So no rabbis classes this week. But that's okay. You get it next week. Men's Club is indeed having their regular weekly lunch at the Double T Diner Tuesday, always Tuesday at noon. We have this really phenomenal program coming up in next 2 weeks. And that is January 21st. And so it's a week from tomorrow. And that is the Annapolis Opera will be coming here and presenting American musicals and their Jewish legacy. The tickets cost $40 a ticket, including appetizers, and see the weekly email for more information. What's today's date? Today is I don't have a date on my watch. The 13th? So Friday the 13th, right. So it turns out what's that?
You can't forget.
Oh, I forgot. But I have to say, bad things have been happening to me all day. Like the side camera, it froze. See, that's all Friday the 13th right there. Tonight is the last opportunity to get a ticket for $40. Starting tomorrow, and you have to do this online anyway, it's $50. So if you're interested in this really amazing program, it's already, the number of tickets is kind of like shocked me how many tickets we've sold already for this. Really, this is going to be quite spectacular. So the Annapolis Opera presents American musicals and their legacy here, Jewish legacy. Okay, also, there's a screening for the movie called The Couple in honor of International Holocaust Day. That is on January 25th. Weekly email. Tat Shabbat is the 27th of Friday, Tat Shabbat and family service, and that includes a dinner from one of my favorite types of dinners, the one from Mission Barbecue. I know, I'm totally had that same reaction that you did, which is like, wait, Mission Barbecue, that's awesome. So yeah, so see the weekly email for more information. Let me also just say a few last things. Thank you so much to Jody Meisenberg for ushering this evening, and Grady Dickstein also for ushering as well. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And finally, to Harvey and Susan Tillotman, along with Sybil Wish, for sponsoring the Oneg Shabbat. I have said plenty. We are going to conclude with Motzi and then Adon Olam. And this is a fun Adon Olam, too, by the way. So I hope that you feel comfortable joining in. But first, Motzi, so you can go out to the Oneg Shabbat and eat as much as you want with total confidence that you've said all the necessary blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. All right, 625 Adon Olam is how we conclude our service. Adon Asher Malach B'terem bo Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa B'chefso kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra V'acharei Kichlot Hakol Levado Yimloch Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hove Vehu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefso kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra Vehu Echad Ve'en Sheni Lehamshilo Lehachbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz Ve'hamizra Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefso kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra Vehu Eli V'chai Goli V'tzor Chevli Be'et Zara Vehu Nisi Umanos Li Minat Kosi Ve'yom Ekra Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefso kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra B'yado Afkid Ruchi Be'et Isha Ve'a'ira Ve'im Ruchi Geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa B'chefso kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra Azai Melech Shmo Nikra Azai Melech Shmo Nikra. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks so much for being here with us. Awesome. Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra. What fun. Thank you guys so much, despite my struggles.
You're coming next time, right?
She was amazing. She stepped on the show, Mom. I know.